One.
Derick Giwner along with Matt Rose for this week's Harness Spotlight, where we're going to look at a couple of races from this weekend, starting with Friday at Hoosier Park, where they have four nice stakes races on tap. Then we're going to go Saturday to the Meadowlands, where they have four races as well, all kindergarten races for the 2-year-olds as they look to graduate after a series that started in July, 6 legs, and they get to the final. We'll start with race number 9 on Friday at Hoosier Park, and this is the $220,000 Carl Erskine. As I said, one of four big stakes races on the card, and this one goes through, I guess, Don't Let Him, who's coming off a break.
Yeah, coming off a break is the operative phrase there. We know how talented this 3-year-old colt is, and he was decently spotted in the Breeders' Crown Final last week at Woodbine Mohawk Park, which I believe we'll take a look at momentarily. And unfortunately, he did what he's done a few times in the past, which is misbehave and cost himself a lot of money, and just bad timing. But we know the ability is there, and listen, this is a good spot in what you said. There's four stakes races on the card of Hoosier. I imagine the Carl Erskine is probably the feature of the four with these 3-year-old trotters. A lot of them that we have seen throughout the year. Two inside horses are the two favorites, Don't Let 'Em and Chin Chin Hall. We're going to take a look at Don't Let 'Em last week in the Breeders' Crown Final at Woodbine Mohawk Park. And where's he set up? Is that him third over, Derick?
Yeah, he's sitting third over, and he's going to make a break. Driver Yannick Giwner kind of told me he was trying to baby him through the turn. He's a little bit tricky to drive at times there, and it just didn't work out. Also in this race was Chin Chin Hall, and you're going to see him. I believe he's the 5, and he's going to be splitting through horses, and he's finishing with quite a bit of trot here. If you look at him, he's coming home pretty well. One of the few that are closing.
Yeah, he trotted home okay. He was a big price. He didn't do a heck of a lot of running, and we saw obviously not the best weather conditions over what was rated as a good track, which may or may not have had something to do with the break and stride by Don't Let Him. But assuming better conditions tonight and behaving himself, the race still goes through him. And I assume while we're not looking at a heavy favorite by any means, I assume the betting public will probably land on him as a lukewarm favorite. Are you going in his direction? It's a pretty straightforward
Yeah,
question.
yeah, I am going in his direction for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like this is a field where he shouldn't be too stressed out. I mean, he should be able to do whatever he wants against this field and win. Um, in my estimation, I just think he's the fastest horse. All he has to do, driver Yannick Jr. can kind of just sit there with him. Doesn't have to push him at all. Just hold them together and wait for the stretch, and I think he'll take care of it. Or he could do what he did in the Breeders' Crown Eliminations, which is get a little bit more aggressive, go to the front. And I don't see anyone here that I'm worried about beating him. I think only he can beat him. And the fact that he broke last time kind of makes me happy because I know how talented he is. And I think that's going to make the difference of whether he'll be 3-5 in this spot or, maybe 7-5.
Yeah, I was going to say or 9-5 or something like that. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. Go to the far outside with the 9-horse Swandre the Giant. Very highly regarded 2-year-old and a very highly regarded 3-year-old. That's you look at his card. He's 6 for 15. He's made $400,000. Could he be considered a little bit of a disappointment this year, or does he still have something to prove this year? Possibly. But you know what? He loves the Hoosier Park surface. I'm not overly concerned with the outside post because he does have plenty of early speed to at least get out and improve position early, if not hit the lead. Should be an okay price. Can't hurt having Dave Miller in the bike. I'm just going to take a stab with the horse that I think I'm just safer with than Don't Let Him or also the aforementioned Chin Chin Hall, who yes draws well, but you know what? He's been a big price in a lot of these starts. Now he's going to be a shorter price. How short a price are you taking a horse that's been a long shot all these weeks? But Swanja the Giant, like I said, $400,000 in the bank, but still might have something to prove, and couldn't hurt to step up and take this race for $220,000.
Well, maybe one thing going in your favor here is that Swanger the Giant, this would be his last start for these connections. They're selling him next Friday in the Harrisburg sale and the
Right.
Harrisburg mixed sale. So I'm sure he'll bring a pretty big number there, and I expect he'll race well. I mean, he's shown that he's racing well every single week, and there's no reason to think he won't. I don't really love the outside post 9 position. I kind of favor Chin Chin Hall for second, only for the fact that he's the type of horse that holds his own versus just about anyone in this division. I mean, he sticks with them, and, even the green shoes of the world, he sticks with them week after week. I think Swandre will leave. I think Don't Let Him will probably make a brush to the lead, and it's just a matter of whether Chin Chin Hall can outkick Swandre the Giant. I think maybe he can, but we'll see what happens. I like a Colt 2-1. You're going to go, I assume, 9 with the 1-2.
9 with the 1-2. I'm also going to throw in the 4 Pilot Discretion, Tony Alagna trainee, finally drawing a good post after a series of outside spots where he still rallied okay. I will give him a pass for that. He was nowhere to be found in the Breeders' Crown Final from post 10. I'll give him a pass. And how about the 5-horse Yes for Irv Miller with local Midwest driver Michael Oosting, who gets on pretty well with him. He was a good closing second last week. So I'm going to take a stab with Swandre Giant, maybe spread around. I'm not sold on Chin Chin Hall, and we've already discussed the. You seem to think the only one that can beat Don't Let Him is Don't Let Him. So if you say Don't Let Him break, he's going to win. But I'm still going to spread around a little bit. Hope I get somewhere around the 9 to the morning line on Swandre the Giant.
All right, well, you're going to go with a little bit of a price here. I'm going to go with the favorite, but I'm going to make up for it in the next race. We're going to switch to Saturday and going to the Meadowlands here for the Kindergarten Classic Final, one of 4 of Kindergarten Classic Finals on the Meadowlands card for Saturday. And this one's $172,000. We're looking at the 2-year-old Colton Gelding Pacers. And I happen to think, the morning line kind of shows it. I mean, there's no heavy favorite on this board. I think it's a pretty wide open race.
What's the first thing you notice when you look at this race and you look down the list of trainers in this race? What's the one thing that kind of sticks out in you immediately? What do you think?
It's the Alagna quintet. I don't know what's 5 again.
Sextet maybe. Well, whatever. In layman's terms, he's got 6 of the 9 horses. Major Risky, Chief Mate, Sea of Life, Ideal Perception, Force and Fury, Captain Barbosa. You'll see a note on the bottom of your program page when handicapping this page. It says no coupled entries per NJRC. But yeah, he's got a 6-headed monster, so to speak, in this race. I have a feeling you're going in a slightly different direction, but the odds are certainly in his favor that he's going to come out of this race with a chunk of money. That's for sure.
Well, a bunch of his race last week at the Meadowlands, and we'll take a look at the 6th leg of the Kindergarten Classic, where eventual winner is going to be the 3 Chief Mate, who kind of sat along the rail third and then charged home late.
Oh yeah, not to give anything away, but he is going to be my top choice here for young 21-year-old up-and-coming driver Mitchell Cushing. This is one of the Alagna trainees, and listen, this is just he was kind of knocking on the door in his prior couple starts. This is just a big improvement. Home in 26-4, a life mark, 150-4, went off at 7-1 after disappointing in his prior start a little bit at even money. I just like the spot. I figure he's going to be in a similar spot tonight, and I love the improvement. And that was a nice, strong closing kick. And you know what? The same type of effort or further improvement from this Alagna trainee can get the job done yet again. I know he's not going to be, a great value here, but like you mentioned, this is a fairly wide open betting affair with the morning line favorite on the far outside. If I can get somewhere around 5-2 or 3-1, and know I can get some sort of a similar trip from an up and coming and very competent driver, Mitchell Cushing, I will certainly take my chances there.
One little note about, I like Chief Mate. I picked him 3rd in my selections here. An interesting note about all the Alagna horses. If you look back to the 18th of October, driver Joe Bongiorno had a choice of like 4 or 3 of them or something like that. Chief Mate, Sea of Life, and Ideal Perception. I think Force of Fury too, all 4. And he chose Ideal Perception. The horse went out and won that race. I think he might be for my money, I think he might be the best of the Alagnas. That's what I'm thinking. It was a pretty good effort, and like I said, Joe chose him and then he won, so he proved himself right, and he had the outside post that day, which is rare that you'll see a driver take the outside post of the choice. Another note: a bunch of these are going to be in the Harrisburg sale, in the mixed sale. Ideal Perception, Force and Fury, and Captain Barbosa are all listed to sell. I mean, they could all be pulled, obviously, prior to it. All that being said, I'm going a complete different direction with I think he's 15-1 on the morning line, the 5 major bets. This one threw in a huge mile at the Red Mile a few starts back in the International Stallion Stakes, 49 and change, where he left, and he just, there was no catching him. He was just too good. Then he went to the Breeders' Crown, where he faced the best in the division and couldn't handle it. Well, quite frankly, I thought he should have been put into play a little bit more. For whatever reason, he wasn't. I think now he's getting back to the kind where he can handle. This is the group where he's good at. He's been in the kindergarten before. He raced it in July at the Meadowlands, and he won in 51-3. I think he's very comfortable with this class, and I think that I don't see any way we're going to get 15-1 here. I think we're looking at more like maybe 7-1 or 6-1 in this
I would
race.
say maybe even a little lower than that. You got Dexter Dunn driving, who in the, I guess, a little over a year he's been in the U.S. Not only has he proven himself, he's elevated himself to almost at the top of the list of the stakes quality drivers. It's a good mid-pack post. I certainly see the angle you're looking at for this New York bred. Yeah, I can't fault anyone for going that direction. He's going to be on my tickets underneath Chief Mate, that's for sure. You mentioned Ideal Perception, Joe Bongiorno, who's coming off, I guess you could say, the biggest win in his career in the Breeders' Crown, driving for Tony Alagna. And he's another one here with a legit chance. And Captain Barbosa, Andrew McCarthy, coming off a huge weekend. You got to imagine he'll be forwardly placed. Just a question of will it be a little chess match between all the Alagna trainees, so to speak? I know they're all out as separate entities. They're all trying to win. It's a big purse, but you have to imagine they're not going to kill each other or get hooked up at the same time. I'm just going to hope, like I mentioned, that I get a smooth trip from an inside post with Chief Mate. Throw him on top. Use your pick, major bets. Use maybe Force and Fury with Vic Kirby, who can handle himself in the Meadowlands. And Captain Barbosa underneath. And you're going to go with major bets, hoping to get double digits on the board. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will see.
We'll hope for the best, and maybe we'll play him in the pick 4 since it's part of the $50,000 guaranteed pick 4 that starts in race number 8. The kindergarten finals, the kindergarten classic finals, go as races 4, 6, 8, and 10 on the card. That's a look at this weekend's Harness Spotlight. Good luck.